Welcome everyone to the Bran'sCorner podcast. We're so glad to have you here today. This episode is found in both audio and video form. As per usual, you can find the audio episode anywhere you can find podcasts, but to check out the video, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tansson Talks. This episode will begin in just one moment after these sponsored messages, so please stay tuned. Are you someone that's into video or audio editing? Perhaps you just simply want to transcribe your content. Well, look no further than Descript. Descript allows for you to transcribe and edit your podcast as simple as it can be. In fact, they've recently expanded to now include all types of video projects. To find out more about Descript, go ahead and check out their website and learn more. An affiliate link will be posted at the end of this episode and in the description. Thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone, this is Brandon, and welcome to the Bran'sCorner podcast. I'm really excited to have you all here today. And so today, I'm here with my amazing guest for today, Christopher Walton. Thank you so much for being here. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. I'm excited to be a guest on your podcast. I know this is something we've talked about for a while, and it's finally here, so I'm very excited, and I think we're both going to enjoy this.
Oh, yeah, I've been excited about this for a while, and so, first of all, thank you so much for willing to be here, and how is your day going thus far?
It's been pretty good today. I had there's a 5K race, ironically, today, so I was helping out, volunteering, working that event. So it's been an early morning, but but some days are long, most days are long, some days are short, but you just keep on rolling with it, so.
Well, that is great to hear. And you didn't want to run the 5K race yourself?
I didn't until I saw people, and then it kind of gave me like an itch and stuff like that. It was wonderful though, because while I was working it, I actually networked with somebody who's in the commercial real estate space, so that was exciting.
Well, that's good. Networking is always such a great benefit of attending so many different events and everything, and you never really know who you get a chance to meet, even if you just go somewhere for a one-time thing. And I mean, that's actually how we met. So
yeah, that's how it works.
Well, I definitely want to go right into this, but first I did want to allow a time for yourself to go ahead and introduce yourself to the listening audience.
Sure. So my name's Chris Walton. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Virginia. I've been licensed for about 2 years now. It was 2 years in April. Prior to that, by trade, I am an aviation major. So I'm from the Hampton Roads area, went away to school, majored in aviation business. I have dabbled in a series of part-time jobs and businesses, things like that. But I entered real estate because I wanted to, for two things. One, I kind of wanted a bigger part-time job. So instead of all these other part-time jobs, I just get like a significant, great part-time. And real estate did that. And then I also wanted to become an investor long-term. So I figured no better way to learn the industry, learn the environment by becoming a real estate agent. So I've been licensed for 2 years and I love it. If I talk, it's because I'm very passionate about it. I wish I did it sooner, but I'm here now and I plan to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I really can't wait to really dive into all of this. And so I guess I want to first start by asking, so first, what actually got you into aviation and everything, and then what made you shift from that to real estate?
So ever since I was a child, my mom, my parents, they traveled originally they're from New York. So we would travel back and forth and we drive a lot. I guess at some point they maybe wanted to fly. So I was a young, maybe 6 or 7, flying on an aircraft to New York. And it just kind of sparked my interest in flying. Like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm in an aircraft. This is neat. So that's where that kind of came from. And as a child, I was like, oh, I want to grow up. I want to be a pilot. I want to go to school to be a pilot. I did go to school to be a pilot, but college doesn't work out exactly as we all plan it to. Being a pilot's a great career. I have plenty of friends as a pilot. However, it's a very pricey career. You get the return on investment, but it is some upfront work. And at the time when I was a student, I don't think I realized how much studying I needed to do to make that career happen. So I originally went to school for a pilot and I ended up switching majors from aviation flight operations to actually aviation business. And as a business, it's more so on the airport environment, the airline environment, the business aspects of things, everything that's not flying portion. So that's how I came into aviation by trade. I graduated with a bachelor's in aerospace management. I have a master's in commercial aviation as well as a master's in business administration. So I'm very well business versed. I like the business environment. I like creating businesses and revenue development, business development. It's exciting for me. I just have always been, I wouldn't say a workhorse, but I've always had part-time jobs almost just because I like learning. I love learning new things. So it's like, okay, I worked here. I could go work here and learn something else, make a little money, things like that. But at a certain point, as I got older, I realized, hey, I need a more significant, heavier part time. What can fulfill that? So ironically, it was I was in Wyoming for an internship. It was an airport planning internship, and in my part time, I was door dashing at the time. And I don't know if anybody's. I'm sure you've Grubhubbed or Uber Eats or DoorDash before, but it's pretty much the driver's side. You're picking up food and you're dropping it off. You're delivering it. For me, being in a different state, a different area, it was exciting because every place was different. So I was learning the city almost. I was talking to different folks, whether it's the restaurant folks or the folks I was dropping off. So now it's a lot of contactless delivery where you just leave it at the door. But at that time, it was you had to knock on the door and, hey, here's your food. It was interaction. So that was kind of, to me, it was okay. Every place is different, and I'm meeting different people. Is there a way I could do that and make a lot more, like make a bigger part time impact? So that's what I kind of looked at real estate as a opportunity. So I started studying for my license, and I'm like, okay, if it's the same concept, I'm meeting different people. No two houses are the same, and that's one thing I really like about my job, my role as a real estate agent.
Wow, that is actually really interesting. And I love how you mentioned that you are like a lifelong learner and that you love, learning and getting to experience new things. And
Yeah, you have to be
yeah, and I mean, even like for myself as a college student, I mean, there's just so many opportunities out there and so many different ways to get to explore different passions that are sometimes completely out of your field entirely. But it's just like, yeah, I love it. Like I wouldn't trade anything for it.
So I think there was a saying I heard a while ago. It's the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know, just because there's so much information out there. And I'll joke with my wife, hey, if I could have a third career or in a different lifetime, another, I'd try this, whether it's like just for a year, just to, because you're just learning new things and there's so much to. I don't know what the like a chemist does at work or a zoologist does at work or a police officer. Everybody has their own different task, and you see by learning more, you kind of can relate to people more because you understand their role more and what they do.
Yeah, that is quite true. And so when you were making the initial pivot to real estate, did any part of you think like, I guess in the process, it's like, why am I learning this? I'm an aviation person. Like, like more so in the sense of, I mean, still getting used to being in a completely different career set than what you initially were for, for extensive time.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. It was a it was a little nerve wracking, a little nerve because it is a brand new environment, brand new industry. What I did that kind of helped with that, um, I and this is just from from starting other multiple businesses in the past and other failed ventures. So it's not I've had a lot of, I guess, transferable experience that helped make my real estate career a success. But I've also had a lot of business ventures. I started an online clothing brand. Um, I tried eBay selling, eBay sales, drop shipping, things like that. And so some were successful, some failed, and that's okay. But in doing that, I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned was that it's best to learn as much as you can about something before you do it. So yeah, there's no you're gonna make mistakes regardless. However, if I talk to people in the real estate industry already, I can avoid making some of those beginner mistakes. And so when I was even before I got my license, I was still studying for the exam, studying for my certification. I was meeting with local real estate agents and just asking them, hey, how do you like the business? What do you do? Can you give any tips, any insight, and things like that? And I met with about, while I was in Wyoming, I met with about three individuals out there, all licensed real estate agents, and they just gave me their opinion about the industry, about tactics, techniques, different things like that. I did that, but then I also read books. So I'm a big reader. So I was reading books on real estate sales and real estate selling, and I hadn't even gotten my license yet. I wasn't even a licensed agent, but I was reading it, and I was just practicing and just getting like, practicing scripts, practicing talking to people, and just getting not comfortable, but like I said, there's going to be errors and mistakes and a learning curve in whatever industry you go in. But I was trying to reduce that just by learning and getting familiar and talking with people. So, and I guess I figured that out just from previous business experience. Like, in the past when I started this, I never talked to anybody. So maybe that's why it failed. Versus now, okay, let me talk to people. Let me fully understand what I'm entering and have a better understanding so I can be successful.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense, and yeah, like I completely get that because sometimes even like you said, those skill sets that you get from doing stuff that you do in the past, I mean, really can help you out, even if it's like you said, a completely different arena entirely, and so for you, I know, yeah, since you mentioned too that that you love to also keep busy and doing a whole bunch of part-time jobs and everything. So while you were, I guess, learning learning real estate and getting into it, and then even now, were you also doing some other stuff on the side as well in addition to all that?
Not. I was door dashing. I'll be completely honest. I was studying for my certification. I was working I was an intern, so that was kind of what I did during the day. And then after night, I would go and DoorDash and I would study for my certification. While I was door dashing, I was listening to some audio, like audiobooks, audio tapes on YouTube. So I was doing that, and that was some were just self help books, some were just real estate based books, things like that. But it was just kind of like I said, trying to learn, trying to be very time efficient, I guess. So it's like, I could get off work and then stay up an extra hour or two and read. But I could, if I kind of crunch it in while I'm doing something else, I could maximize my time to the fullest.
Yeah, so sort of like productive multitasking, essentially.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Productive multitasking.
Yeah, yeah. I should put that into. I should make a T-shirt for that. That's what I should do. But yeah, and so now that you are 2 years, since April 2022 into real estate, what are some of the lessons that you have learned through this, and how has your journey been over these 2 years, especially with so many changes happening over this time as well?
Yeah, so it's been a incredible journey the last 2 years. The real estate market has been unbelievable. I got licensed in April 2020, and if you remember, in April 2020 is exactly when like COVID peaked. So this is the it's right now. There's two markets in real estate. There's a buyer's market and then a seller's market, and then there's a third kind of a balance in between. But a seller's market is when there's low inventory, and so there's more buyers than sellers. And then a buyer's market is when there's high inventory, so there's more sellers than buyers. So because of the low, right now it's a seller's market. There's low inventory, so just economics and supply and demand. Low inventory, low supply equals high demand. So that's why prices went up. Sellers were able to get multiple offers, things like that. For me as a new agent, I approached it as, hey, one, this is all I know. So this is this is the only environment. It's not like I know another thing and I can compare it to. We can only deal with the cards where the hand were dealt. And then I approached it as two. It's a level playing field for everybody, not just me, but for all the experienced agents, all the other medium agents, the new agent. It's not square one, but it hadn't been a seller's market in a while. So for me, I was looking at it like, okay, this is either gonna weed out some of the underperforming agents, and maybe I'll just work really. I'm a hard worker, so I just work hard regardless. So I kind of it's kind of not fail until you succeed, but that's the approach I took. Fail until you succeed. So I learned a series of lessons in the last 2 years, more so the first year, and then second year kind of got more footing. But that's a learning. With any environment, it's going to be a learning curve. Some of the lessons I learned were directly in marketing, so I guess, or lead generation. So there's a saying in real estate: it's not the you're not really in the real estate business; you're in the lead generation business, and that's for almost any industry. Like, yeah, there's a customer relationship piece, but it's a lot of lead generation. And so I was lead generation is bringing in new clients, new customers. Think, how are you doing that? So yeah, I'm going to talk to my sphere, my family and friends that I know, but also how am I going to go out and get new business to notice you? So I feel like a lot of people, they think, hey, you get your license. Hey, me, I'm licensed, and people are just going to come to your door. Hey, can you sell my house? Can you help me buy? And that's not the case. That is not the case. Once you show like track proven results, then some people start, oh yeah, can you help me with this? And word of mouth gets around. But in the beginning, you have to go out and get clientele. You have to generate leads. So a lot of my learning, I guess, occurred in the beginning when I was trying different things on how I could generate new leads and get that to come in.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, I guess with the yeah, I mean trying to learn all of that and really get acquainted to yeah, I mean to all of the different like the terminology and yeah, and trying to actually actually since you're laughing about that, so I guess how was it trying to learn all of, like the terminology and stuff behind everything and trying to really get acquainted like 2 years in, do you think that you get most of it now, or are you still in the learning process of all of that?
I get most of it now. However, it's still a learning process just because regulations change. So there's Department of Occupational and Professional Regulation. They create the standards for a lot of real estate, and so contracts are updated every 6 months, every 12 months, just because of new things, changes in the environment, that sort of thing. So you're constantly having to reread contracts and understand them so that you could present them to your client, buyer, seller. So that's constant learning. And then as well as technology changes. So you're constantly having to learn new methods, learn new things. For example, back in the say 1980s, 1990s, one of the marketing methods were postcards, like just sending out mailers to people's houses, postcards, things like that, targeting a neighborhood. I'm going to mail them out. Hey, if you're interested, happy holidays, things like that. And they see it, I get it. I'm going to call my agent, that sort of thing. Now, I don't know about you, but if I get a letter in the mail, I might like let it sit for a week before I open it. I might just throw it in the trash. There's hurdles like that. Now it's a lot of digital technology now, so it's email based. There's a virtual meetings that changed. So even showings changed from showing people property in person to showing it to them virtually. The environment's constantly changing. So as a real estate agent, a realtor, you have to be flexible and you have to adapt to that environment. If I'm still sending postcards out and I'm not changing the way I market, then I might be missing out on a big portion of the market of people looking to buy or sell real estate. So it's constant change. That's why I said lifelong learning never stops, because as the environment changes, you have to yourself constantly change as well. So
Yeah, that is quite true. And I guess another thing to bring up from that too is even with shifting from, mail marketing to email marketing is because, email uses all of the resources from the World Wide Web is that, you know, everyone has a mailer list. Everyone has, all of these constant emails that they keep getting influx with. And so how do you work to make yourself stand out among all of the other, numerous, if you're in my case, hundreds of emails you get per day? How do they know, hey, this one's from Christopher Walton, I need to open this one?
yeah, that's a great question. I do several series of things. One is follow up, so it's in the follow up. Honestly, I've had a mail campaigns. I try to automate some stuff because it does get time heavy if I'm constantly type sending the email individually. So I use a lot of software to help automate those systems and practices. But it's truly in the follow up. I read a sale. I think it was a sales quote or something that after most sales occur within a minimum of like eight contact touches by me contacting you 8 times. It's not one email and then you contact, oh yes, you can sell my house, or it's not three, oh yeah, let me sell you. So it's a follow-up process, just continuously doing that. But you don't want to email them too often. I'm not emailing you every week, oh hey, by the way. So I do span it out. It might be every quarter, every other month's holiday, birthday, just checking in, things like that. I've had some people that they responded to an email I sent 4 months ago. Hey, are you still interested? Can you help me? And I just out the blue, oh yeah, sure. How can I help you? And I've had some that right when I email them, they right off the bat, oh yeah, I'm interested. Can you set up this? Can you look into this? That sort of thing. But I try to automate the process as much as possible, just because it does get time heavy. So there's I set some clients up with automated searches of listings that they get. That way they're not relying on me to manually send them listings, but I'm automatically sending them based off of their criteria of the home they're looking for. They're getting those listings right when they hit the market. Just software technology and automation it makes things a lot easier, a lot smoother.
Yeah, that is quite true. And even like thinking in terms of like the way I do my podcast, like that same sort of follow up is sort of like the same processes that, yeah, that I would have to do because, not everyone, may not see it the first time, or you know how sometimes it goes where, like you see it and you're like, oh, okay, but you're in a time that you're really busy, then you just like forget all about it until weeks later. You're like, huh, did I respond to that person? And then
That's
also, oh, keep going.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like buying. I mean, almost buying anything. Like, hey, somebody could say, "Hey, I have a phone. Do you need a phone?" Oh no, I don't need a phone. My phone's working fine. And then they ask you 2 weeks later, "Hey, I have a phone. Do you need a phone?" Oh no, I don't need a phone. My phone's working fine. They ask you maybe 2 months later, "Oh yeah, my phone cracked," or "Oh yeah, I have my cousin needs a phone." And so you never. It's just always in the fault because you never know. People's circumstances change, situations change. It's just by staying in front of them. Honestly, just saying, "Hey, I'm still knowledgeable in this industry. I'm an expert here. If you need me, I'm available."
That is quite true. And, with things, of course, being able to change so quickly, and, and as we experience, like with the COVID-19 pandemic, things can change literally like within minutes, and so, and that's one of the reasons, too, that, like, whenever I communicate with people, I always ask, how are you doing? I may have just asked, like, the other day, but things can change so quickly that I truly do want to know, how are you doing? Because I don't think we ask that question a lot, but I guess going to what you're mentioning about emails before we shift over more into what you're doing with real estate is how is you mentioned too that you're using a lot more automation and stuff to contact people who may be interested in your services. And so how do you blend it between having personal communication and then the automated one? Do you have like a particular method, or maybe it's like personal message followed by the automated, or how does that system go for you? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, that's another great question. It honestly depends on the contact. So some after I guess after a while, you're able to distinguish people from not saying like somebody that's looking versus somebody that's just inquiring, or somebody that's more likely kind of warm versus hot, or cold versus hot. What I try to do is to make things personable, because the automated is like you said, it's automated. But I send birthday cards. That's my thing. I send birthday cards to people. I like getting birthday cards in the mail. I remember when I was a kid, there used to be this toy store on the little toy store. Wow, toy store in the mall. And they used to every birthday they'd send me like a $5 gift card. I'm like, oh yeah, I get to go get a toy. And like look forward to it. Boom, boom, boom. The toy store closed. The mall left. Everything happened, but it stuck. Like it made me feel great. And I feel like people don't get cards and they get bills. They get notices. They get everything they don't want in the mail. But when you get like like what's your birthday and you get a card, I think that like it helps. Oh yeah, this is a personal touch. Thanks for thinking of me. So I'll do that. I'll do like for newborn babies, congratulations, graduation, congratulations. Just a personal touch. And then I contact sometimes like I'll pick up the phone and call people. Just hey, how are you doing? Thinking about you. I'll shoot a text message out. Hey, I saw this home. It looked like something you. Oh, if you need any assistance, just let me know. Just to let them know there's no obligation, but hey, I'm still here if you need me. And then I try to blend social media as well into that. So just bits and pieces of my life, make it a more human, relatable, personable touch. My dog was just here a minute ago, and I was like petting her, and I was like, "Oh, I'll bring you on the." Because people love their dogs, and I love my dogs. So just adding in that personable touch in addition to that automation.
Well, that was perfect timing right there then. But that, like I said, that is so true. And like I said, I just really want to know that because, as much as I am into, of course, technology and everything, I'm also a communication person. That's what, I study. And so, I mean, I just love to hear, what people do, because I definitely know from experience that, it can be really hard sometimes to send every single, like, communication, as a, personal, like, I spent 2 or 3 hours on this email, but at the same time, though, I like that you're putting in the effort to connect with everyone and and continue doing that personal touch, even if not every form of communication can be, personal all the time.
No, you honestly have to do what works for you. Like I know some real estate agents that all they do is they just call people. Like all they hey call people. They'll get voicemail. They'll contact and just talk on the phone all day long. I know some real estate agents that they'll use social media and they'll just make videos, and then people can they engage with those videos. They relate to those videos. Those videos are very capturing to them. So honestly, all depends on the person and what you do. I know some people that just have nothing but automated systems. They just automated follow up systems. Boom, 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 boom. It's always just sending out constant touches to different things, and that works for them. They get some people buy their leads, purchase their. There's so many so many different ways. So
Yeah, that is quite true. And so speaking of videos, I know that you have your own content online as well for for your own real estate business. So how did that come about? And what are some of the things that you do on your online platforms?
yes, so I was that was an early I guess inception when I first started my real estate career. And one of the things I was looking at is how can I generate leads? Like, okay, let me try a YouTube channel. That way I could I found I was answering some of the same questions multiple times. I'm like, well, if I make a video about it, I can just shoot somebody the video. Here you go, answer the question once, and that's how it kind of started. So I do a variety of content from mainly real estate. So I'll do real estate topics such as how to buy a home, or the home buying process, or what is a home inspection, or different financing options like VA loans. I'll do real estate topics, but then I'll also add in some personal videos as far as like, oh, I'm traveling to Orlando, Florida, or I'm making a homemade pizza, or I'm just like things like that. Add a mix into there. I started doing once COVID kind of was here forever, I guess. I started doing a lot of home showings tours. So of like just here's a new listing on the market, and I just do a walkthrough video of the house, and that seemed to take some. It was very popular as well, just because a lot of people, most people shop for homes on their phone. They'll look at their mobile device, they'll see it, and then they'll like look at the pictures. But sometimes the pictures don't really do it justice. So instead of you coming out and having to see it in person, I'll capture a video of it and post it, and then they'll be able to see it that way. So those were pretty successful as well.
Well, that's really good that you were able to take advantage of the situation because obviously it wasn't an ideal time, and especially for just starting, like right in it. It wasn't even that you didn't even have like a whole day. Like you were right into it when you started.
Yep, yep, nope. That is it exactly.
And so now that we've heard all about your journey and some of the stuff that you've done, I would like to give the floor over to you. So for anyone who may be interested in buying a home or selling a home, or using any of your services, are you able to tell us a little bit about like how to get started? How is the whole process, and and everything of that, and I'll give it over to you because obviously like I said, you've studied for this, you've done all the work, and so can't wait to hear all about it because I'm actually really curious myself.
Yeah, sure. No, I'd be happy to discuss on it. So, real estate, there's two parts. There's the home buying process, and then the home selling process. There's a third, which is investing, but I'll, I'll touch on the main first two. For home selling, anyone looking to sell your home, sell your property, the first step would be pretty much contacting a real estate agent, contacting a realtor. Some people try to they want to fix up their home, or do some improvements, and depending on the market, you may not necessarily need to do that. So that's why I say contact a professional first to give you an insight on what you do or do not need to fix, and if the value would increase the value of your home. They'll come out and they could so say contact me. I'm interested in selling my house. I'll come out and do a evaluation of it. Run the comps, which is comparable CMA, comparable market analysis, and what that shows are similar homes that sold similar to your house that sold, and what your home might be worth based off of that. So after presenting that, I'll do a seller net sheet, which is how much you'll make in the sale. I'll make some recommendations on what you can do to improve it. And then I'll walk you through the process of how we market your house, how we'll promote it to get you the best offers, best buyers, and get you to a seamless closing. So that's the brief condensed version. There's different contracts and different real estate disclosures. So it's not as simple as just, oh, I could sell my property and leave. There are some disclosures that the state of Virginia requires you to sign off an initial in order to proceed and not get sued later on down the road. But that's the like I said, that's the condensed version. For the home buyer process, so walk through of steps is contact a real estate agent and then pre-approval. So some people choose pre-approval first, which is great. They can do pre-approval first, get pre-approved, and then contact the agent, or you can contact the agent and get pre-approved. Reason I say contact the agent is because sometimes agents can recommend programs such as no down payment assistance or closing cost assistance that will help you out in getting pre-approved. Um, Pre-approval just me. It's pretty much just, hey, I can afford to buy a house. It's the some people, they want to shop for a house without, you don't know if you're actually pre-approved for it and don't want to waste your time. So that's the first step: pre-approval and contacting an agent. After that, that's when the actual shopping process begins, and that's when you go and look at houses. Once you find a house you like, you'll submit an offer on a house. Your agent will write it up. Reason is there's particular contracts, documents, real estate language that has to be thrown in there, and then if the seller accepts it, you'll go on to your inspections. So you have pretty much a home inspection, and then you'll have a termite and moisture inspection, and some other inspections as well. But similar to like a car inspection, a home inspection tells you like the systems and stuff of your house. Inspections, then you'll go to, during that process, the lender who approved you is running your mortgage application to get it approved, and then they'll send somebody out to appraise the home. The closing, there's a closing company involved that will do a title search, just make sure that there's no liens on the property, and then you'll move forward to almost closing. So that's pretty much, like I said, in a nutshell, condensed version, what the home buying process looks like. The big question a lot of people ask are, what do I need to do to get pre-approved? So there are some minimum credit score requirements, but depending on the financing you use, those requirements are different. So for example, there's three main financing. There's a couple more, but the three big ones are FHA, VA, and then conventional. And so VA is Veterans Affairs. That's military, no down payment program. FHA, Federal Housing Administration, that's 3.5% down. And then conventional is about 3 to 10%, 3 to 5, 3 to 10%, depending on the lender and your qualifications. So most first time home buyers or buyers in general try to use the FHA. For that, the credit score requirement is 580. For the VA, it's about 620. And then for conventional, it's about 640. So these vary depending on the lender and as well as environments change. So pre-COVID, they were lower credit scores, and then COVID caused some things to increase. But those are the most recent credit scores. There's also some income requirements. So they prefer you have 2 years of income history. However, there are some exceptions. For example, if you switch jobs and your job is increasing, if you have other sources of income, if you add a co-signer, like real estate is there's no one size fits all. Everything's it's unique, and there are ways to navigate it in order to get the situation that's best for you. So income, credit, and then they're looking at your financial portfolio as well. So they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. How many debts do you have compared to the income you make? For a bank or for a lender, it's more so about risk. So they're looking at the risk to give you, a buyer, a loan for your house. So the risk for a person with, say, for example, maybe 20,000 in credit card debt, 3 car payments, and maybe 100,000 student loans, and they're making about 50,000 a month or something, or a year, that sort of thing. So they're looking at, okay, all their monthly payments compared to what they're bringing in. That risk is higher versus somebody that, they don't have any debts, they have a higher income, different things like that. So it also plays a factor into your credit score and whatnot. So they're looking at, like I said, a risk of loaning somebody a loan with 700 credit score versus a 580 credit or 600 credit score. It's for the lender, they're looking at risk. They're assessing the risk to it. So you'll get better rates with different things, but that's what they're looking at.
That's actually really interesting. And so I've been making notes for myself down there, but yeah, that's actually really interesting. And I know you mentioned earlier back when you're speaking about, I think the first one you mentioned was that one selling? No,
Yep, selling.
Yeah, okay, selling. Yeah, so you mentioned, to contact, of course, your professional as a real estate agent or realtor. But are you actually able to tell us a bit about what the difference is between a real estate agent and a realtor? I actually know, but in case those who are listening don't know.
Absolutely. So there's an organization. It's called Realtors Association, and that's what a realtor is. And it's pretty much they just have separate stand like, oh, here's everybody's licensed. Real estate agents and realtors are all licensed by Virginia by DPOR, but realtors have an organization where they receive additional education, training, monthly conventions, things like additional resources. Real estate agents, they're not a part of that organization, so their company's not a part of it. So they're not a. That's why they don't get the R designation as a realtor. However, both can do the same thing. Both can write contracts. Both can show homes. Both can negotiate. Both. It's literally the same thing, except one's a part of that professional organization and the other isn't.
Okay, cool. Hopefully, for those of you listening who may have been curious, that was able to sort of answer a bit of your question. I mean, yeah, their mental questions, and so also too, I know you mentioned that the Commonwealth of Virginia requires certain, I guess, like additional forms and information, and all that. And so, is it different state by state, or is it just Virginia being special?
Nope, it's different state by state. So, say if I wanted to help somebody sell or buy a house in North Carolina or Illinois or Montana, I would have to get licensed in that state because each state has their own requirements, their own. There's a general consensus. So usually each state has a purchase agreement and things like that. But then there's certain disclosures, certain state specific documents to conclude the real estate transaction.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so, for right now and everything that you do, first of all, are you a part of the realtor organization, or are you just a real estate agent? Out of curiosity.
I'm a real estate agent. So my brokerage, the brokerage I'm a part of Willow Beach Real Estate. They don't have a membership to the organization, so that's why I'm not a part of the organization. If I choose to go to, say, maybe another brokerage, like a Keller Williams or something like that, they have membership to that organization. Granted, I would have to pay dues for the organization as well, but I would have access to those additional resources and things like that. So it all depends on the person. Those resources are very great. They're beneficial. I'm very entrepreneur minded, so I kind of look up a lot of things and information on myself, and not self teach, but I'll ask people and look it up. But like I said, there's pros and cons to each one. And then what was I think you had another question as well.
Yes. So my other question was that, for you and what you're doing right now, where's your general reach in terms of people, in terms of helping them with your services?
Yeah, so I am licensed in Virginia, so I help anybody in Virginia. I can help outside of Virginia, but what most or all agents do. So say I have somebody in North Carolina, and I've done this before multiple times. Hey, I'm looking at buying a house. Can you help me? Hey, I'm not licensed in North Carolina, but I work with an agent down there who I can connect you with. So then I'll refer them to that agent down there who would assist them in purchasing, selling a home in their real estate needs. So it goes vice versa. Another agent in North Carolina or Florida that has somebody here, they would contact a licensed agent here and refer them to me or another agent, that sort of thing.
So it's a nice networking to help create a cohesive experience for everyone.
Got to help everybody to get things done. That is correct. So I am looking at getting licensed in additional states in the future. And I know other agents that they started business here and then they moved to Florida and now they're doing business in both places. So it is possible. I'm working toward that. It's just I'm not there. I'm not currently licensed there yet.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so I guess for you, since you, of course, love learning and love, and you always seem to be up for a good challenge and everything. So over these next, 3 or 4 years, where do you see yourself going? Are you still going to be within the Hampton Roads area, or are you going to expand out, further, I guess, the different parts of Virginia, other states, or try and get something completely different? How do you see yourself going over these next few years?
That's a great question. I see myself getting licensed. So I'll probably look at getting licensed in North Carolina and Maryland just because they're neighboring states to Virginia, possibly DC because they're neighboring states. So those are the closest. I'm probably going to pursue that. Eventually, I would like to probably relocate to another state and then I'll get licensed prior to moving there. But I'm not going to, I said, don't cross that bridge till I get there. Another common path in this career is to, so after being a licensed salesperson, you would get your broker's license. So I work for a brokerage firm, but then I have a broker that pretty much oversees my activity and who I report to, quote unquote, my supervisor, for lack of better. better term. So then I could get my broker's license, and then I could operate as a broker or on that field. So I might pursue that. I haven't yet reached those requirements yet. There's a certain duration you have to be practicing, certain levels of hours of training you have to do in order to get that certification. But I'll probably look that way also.
Well, that is really interesting, and I certainly wish you all the best, and hopefully being able to, get licensed in brokering, and then expand throughout the whole real estate sector.
Thank you, thank you. It's a very fun career. One of the things I love about it is that there's no retirement age for, for being a real estate agent. It's not like, oh, you have to retire at 65 or you can practice as long as you want. So I'm looking for it as a lifelong thing. And I might look at moving into commercial real estate, eventually trying to move into that space. You can take breaks from it, come back to it, as long as you stay current on your certification and have a brokerage, you're pretty much good. So.
Well, that sounds really nice, and like I said, and before we begin closing out, I'm actually curious. So we had mentioned earlier that that you've brought in a lot of skill sets and assets over from all your previous experiences, before real estate into your current career, and so I guess this year, alone in 2022, what are some of the things I guess you may have brought in from your previous careers into real estate, or that you would like to continue incorporating going forward?
Sure. So some of my previous careers, jobs, industries, and things like that, I worked as a server, restaurant server. So in that, it's a lot of personal interaction, a lot of customer service industry. I worked in housing residence life in college. I was a resident assistant, RA, as well as a graduate hall director. And in that, it's a lot of project management, a lot of customer face-to-face interaction, a lot of problem solving, a lot of crisis management. I've worked as a lifeguard. In that, I've had roles with observation, with preventive problem solving, things like it's just a lot of those combined kind of allow me to, I guess, where I am today. Even with being a hall director, I've done reporting, I've done looking at documents, I've done some leasehold things like that. I was assistant professor. I did some public speaking. I did some research. I did a lot of market research, data research. So just a lot of combined experience. Like I said, transferable skills is what I would call it. Has allowed me to thrive or be a success in the agent I am today. That, and I do a lot of research and preparation. But it's not just right off the gate. I had these skills. I previously developed these skills, and it so happened that these transferred into the skills I am today. And I'm still working on those skills too, because I do want to improve and I do want to get better. I relate a lot of things in my real estate career to sports, or to basketball players, football players, athletes in general. So say, you have the NBA athlete, they made it to the NBA, but if they want to be really good, just because they made it doesn't mean they're going to be a starter. It doesn't guarantee that they'll be a difference maker, an MVP. It doesn't guarantee that they'll make records, that they win a championship. It doesn't guarantee any of that. They have to practice. They have to go to practice. They have to watch film. They have to study. They have to hone their game. Some NBA players, basketball players, they can't shoot three free throws. They can't shoot 3-pointers. They have to develop those skills. They have to develop that shot. They might not be able to play defense. They have to develop that. They have to get a coach. They have to train. I relate all that to real estate to say that I have to practice my craft. Yes, if I made it to real estate and I could do the natural learning curve, but if I want to accelerate and be really good, to be that starter, to win that championship, win those games, now I have to put in the work. I have to practice it. I have to continue to read. I have to practice I practice scripts, talking to people. I practice making videos. It's just not gonna come into fruition by itself. I think some people think oh yeah, I'll just get my license and I'll be great at it. It's no, you have to learn to talk to people. You have to learn to problem solve. You have to read the contracts. You have to put in the work. You have to everybody wants to be a success, but nobody wants to put in the work. So
yeah, exactly. There's the whole process behind it, and it's almost like the difference between putting up a video on YouTube and then being a YouTuber. Theoretically, you can call yourself a YouTuber with with 1 or 2 videos, but it's but you need to know and understand and appreciate the process, and and be able to I mean, to participate in it and contribute to it and all that. And so, yeah, I completely agree with all of that you've been saying.
A lot of it's consistency too. I'm sure you know a lot of people. Oh yeah, I'm starting a podcast, and they just have like one podcast episode here or two podcast episodes there, and it's like, well, you got to consistently produce content and consistently, and then people start taking notice and start gathering some momentum and that sort of thing. So it's a there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on in real estate that people don't see, and they just see the, oh yeah, you helped them buy a house or you successfully sold their house. But there was a lot of negotiation, a lot of inspection, problem solving, repair, like just a lot that goes behind that whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as we, begin wrapping up this interview, first of all, this has been amazing being able to speak with you. And I'm so glad that, we had a chance to finally find a time and sit down and being able to
Made it
chat for
happen.
a little. Yeah, exactly. And so I guess within, these last few minutes, one, is there anything that, that you would like to, to say to the audience, or anything that you would, or any questions that you have for me?
Sure, I'll I guess say that anybody that needs any assistance with real estate services, whether it's buying a house, selling a house, investing, looking for a place to rent, or even if somebody that wants to get into the real estate industry and become a licensed agent, become a realtor, they could reach out to me. My contact number is 757-234-3042. I also, my email is Christopher at willowbeachre.com. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram _real estate with Chris. You could search Chris Walton real estate and I will pop up. So that's probably the easiest. Just Google Chris Walton real estate, pop up, boom.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And so the last thing I did want to ask is, for those listening who are wanting like some inspiration, or I guess are just trying to figure out like what is their dream career, anything of that. Do you have a last final message? Whether it is a inspirational thought, a quote, or anything of that nature that you'd like to share, the floor is all yours.
Sure. I think the best thing I could probably say is that you will get comfortable with failure, but you will fail your way to success. So I've gone through many different jobs, roles, positions, things like that, and some of them I enjoyed, some of them I did not enjoy, but I wouldn't be the person I am today without having gone through those experiences. So even with like the real estate agent I am now, I wasn't 2 years ago. The person I'll be 4 years from now, I will be completely different than who I am now. So it's just a consistency and not being afraid of that fear of failure. There's a quote I kind of live by Jim Rohn, and it's pretty much, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to be better, you have to be better. If you change, everything around you will change. If you grow, everything around you will grow. As you improve, the things around you will improve as well. So I take that as, oh, if I want, and that's with anything, my personal life, my professional life. If I want things to change, then I can't be rating or relying on outside circumstances. I have to do something differently. If I keep on marketing the same way I've always been, I'm going to get the same results. If I market differently, then I'll get different results. It's that simple. So it's nerve wracking because change is always uncomfortable and it's always difficult and challenging. But it does have a different outcome. So anybody that's nervous, I just recommend talking to somebody prior to doing it. That way you can kind of get some comfort and get some anticipation of what you're gonna encounter. And lastly, I would just say that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I early in my career, I tried to reinvent the wheel, but in my real estate journey, I just looked at, hey, what worked before me, and I'll just do that. And then once I did that, it worked out for them. It should work out for me. Once you have some ground underneath you, then you can start kind of tweaking things. But too often out the gate, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, all right, I have this great idea. I'm gonna try it. It's never been done before. It's gonna be great. It's like, well, there's there's a reason that it didn't go well. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just do it. Other success leaves clues. So just follow the clues and you'll get there. So, thank you, Brandon.
Hey, of course, and thank you so much for coming out. I greatly appreciate this.
No, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah, well, that is great to hear. Well, for those of you listening, thank you all so much for tuning in, watching, or listening. I truly appreciate it, and continue, tuning into the Bran'sCorner podcast every other week, right here anywhere you can find podcasts. And until next time, everyone, this has been Brandon, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and go after your goals, everyone. Thank you all so much. I'll see y'all next time.
Take care.
Thank you so much to Descript for sponsoring the Bran'sCorner podcast. Find out more about them in the description of this podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. We so greatly appreciate it. The Bran'sCorner podcast has been created and produced by Brian K. Hedgepeth of Tansson, LLC.